my Cruse here. Got a couple topics that I think I need to bring up. As a MGTOW man, I'm kind of this is something I'm relatively new to. I've always kind of felt like there's something wrong with the system that we have in play. For starters, I just want to interject real quick. I went through because my roommate is female, okay? I have a female roommate. Thought that was a really cool setup at first. It's turning out to be somewhat of a pain in the ass. But I had a little fling with this other girl who seemed really innocent, but as a MGTOW man, we know better than that. But there's always a reason why a woman gets with a man. It's to use him up as a resource. I knew this in advance, but I wanted to have a little bit of fun. See, when I got with this girl, I honestly thought to myself, she's decent. She wasn't, and she isn't. And the first thing I started finding out about her is that she's one of those that has multiple men in their lives that they're using as a resource. For starters, she said she wanted to move in. And I thought, well, we kind of need to have a serious relationship if we're going to move in. And I told her, I am looking for a woman to have a serious relationship with, and if it's not her, then cool. Me and her could just stay friends with benefits at the time, for the time being. And we did. We stayed friends with benefits. And then she went through my phone, even though we weren't together, and she started to act psycho, like, oh, who's this bitch? Who's that bitch that you're talking to? I'm like, you said you didn't want a serious relationship at first, So then she switched and said, well, I want a serious relationship. That's cool. We started having a serious relationship for about 2 or 3 hours, right? And then she started going through my phone again. And then she started analyzing things, and we got into an argument. She tried to get physical with me, and I yelled at her, because I know that little game that women play, where they want to get physical with a man, and then get you in trouble. I told her straight up, you're not going to get me like that. I'm not gonna hit no woman. I'm smarter than that. And any man that hits a woman's pretty stupid. But what you can do, and this is what I told her I would do, is I told her straight up, hey, if you put your hands on me again, I'm gonna physically restrain you until the cops get here. She didn't like that. She wasn't used to that. So then she, of course, left and then sliced my tires. She swears that she didn't, but she did. And what's crazy about it is later I talked to my roommate, my female roommate, about this, and she said that I was right in feeling mad about what this girl was doing, playing games with me. And I knew she was playing games. My roommate said I was right in that, but she said that she didn't like my tone, and she didn't like the words that I used when I argued back at the user and abuser that I was with. She didn't like the tone that I was using against this woman. It's like women have this thing buried deep inside them where they have to take each other's side, despite it being wrong. Okay, they have this complex where it's like, as a man, we're not allowed to critique any women. Not even if we're justified, we're not allowed to critique women in front of other women, which is interesting because women critique men in front of men all the time. We all know this. Everybody knows this. It's not news. We all know. And what I'm getting at is, they take each other's side and whatnot. I explained to my roommate earlier about how women will, in a large percentage, and data actually backs up this claim, a large percentage of women, 70%, implement divorce, right? And out of that 70%, maybe about 20 or 30% maybe are justified, but the rest of it, the majority of the divorces that are implemented by women are just petty bullshit. It's just petty bullshit where they want to control the man, keep the kids away from the man, and then radicalize the children to hate the father, and then the guy loses his mind. There's plenty of news stories out there that you can Google where the man never had crime in his life, never committed an act of violence, but the woman took everything that he had, including the kids, made them hate him, and then he snapped and then went homicidal, or caused violence, or just went crazy in some kind of way, shape, form, or fashion. I was just explaining this to her and other things like this, and she got angry. Not at the women that are doing this to men, but she got angry at me. She got angry at me for talking bad about women. So, and what's sad is she's like the exceptional type of woman, as far as like the best that you could hope for, right? She's the best you could hope for. But yet she still has that complex. There's some things that women can't change, and that's nature. They can try to be understanding individuals, they can try to meet you halfway on stuff, but they're always going to have that nature where a man cannot talk bad about a woman, period. Which is it's just interesting. Oddly enough, not surprising enough, she takes up for these crappy women that exist. And yes, that's a zit right there, by the way. It's just steam rolling off my face. Pretty big. But anyways, if you're involved with a woman who can't acknowledge the abnormal social constructs that other women have, if you're engaging with a woman that can't notice these things, which is most of them, you probably shouldn't engage with that woman to begin with, because she's going to make poor decisions. If she can't decide that, that these things that women are doing to our society is wrong, if she can't see that, or even let a man vent about it, that means that she makes poor decisions, because that's a poor decision to choose to ignore facts. That's a bad decision. But it's not to any surprise, because she is trying to marry a man that cheated on her 6 times and is now in prison. She wants to marry that guy, right? If you met this girl, my roommate, you would never suspect that she would be the type to like the type of guys that she's into. I just think she likes dumb men because she wants to manipulate them secretly. That's just what I think. Or maybe she's just that stupid to really be attracted to such filth. Because, having a man that's outspoken, that works hard, that brings a lot to the table, that doesn't have to be a man that doesn't have to be changed into a man to do that. A man that's already like that does not appeal to her. In fact, she's one of those that swears that God wants her to get with this man that cheated on her 6 times. Okay, 6. I could get if it was once or maybe even twice. Hell, 3 times, I'm like, but 6 times. It has brought me to the conclusion, after previously thinking she was the exceptional woman, it has brought me to the conclusion there's no such thing as an exceptional woman. If there was, she wouldn't have acted that way. So that's just what I'm saying. I'm talking about 99.9% of women. You're not going to find it. So a lot of us men out there, we're not going to ever in our lifetimes ever find a woman that's exceptional. We can get close. I've been close before. She's about, she's just a roommate. So there's not like it's not like I can ever get that. And it doesn't matter how good your game is. You could be watching this now and think, oh, you just don't have game. I actually do. Trust me, I do. But I almost don't want to use it anymore now that I'm having this awakening. It just blows my mind, the thought patterns that they choose to ignore and the ones that they choose to follow. Like, put it this way. I remember when I first moved in here, her feet hurt. And she said, oh, I wish I could get a foot massage. The next day, and that was during the day, right? I worked night shifts. I went to bed and then woke up and went. The next day would be that night. To me, the next day would have been that night. I went to bed, woke up that night, went to work, and all night I thought, you know what? When I get back home, I'm going to remember what she said. I'm going to massage her feet and show her what a act of kindness, what a real... Because, you know, in the Bible, Jesus washed people's feet. It was an act of respect and an act of kindness. So that's how I was looking at it. But no. I show up. To her surprise, I remembered what she said. Because, you know, women assume that we're just a bunch of dumb men. We don't remember anything that they say. It's just half the time to talk about bullshit, so it's easy for us to go on autopilot. But I remembered what she said, massaged her feet, and I did that every day for about 3 or 4 days. And then I thought, man, my back hurts. I wish I could get a massage, so I brought it up. And she's like, oh, okay. And she kind of just like ignored it and blew it off. I was like, wow, that's odd. I just gave her all these foot massages, and she didn't want to give me a back rub. So a few more days had gone by, and I thought it started festering in me that it's like, man, she only told me once, and I gave her a foot rub, or a whole bunch of them. So then I brought it up to her, and of course we get in an argument, and she did the typical female tactic, and that is shame. She shamed me for bringing it up, because the only point I made was, you know, you only told me once. I gave you a foot rub, and I asked, and I gave you many foot rubs. And I asked for a back rub because I work 40 hours a week. She don't. She sits here and works on her computer doing people's bookkeeping. That's, you know, it's meticulous work, but it's not labor. It's not labor work. So her back's fine. Mine hurts because I do labor all night long. While everybody else is asleep, I'm breaking my back. So we get in an argument about it, and she goes, well, if you're going to sit there and shame me into wanting to massage your back, I'm not going to do it. And I don't think I should have to feel that way, feel compelled to do it, obligated, just because you gave me a foot rub. And then she got mad, thinking I gave her a foot rub just to get a back rub. That's not why I did it. Later on, I just thought, well, you know, if we're able to massage her feet, maybe I should get a back rub. My back is in pain. But I didn't initiate the foot rubs with that intent. I did it out of kindness. But we all know in the MGTOW world that women use us as a resource. And anytime we want to use them as a resource in any way whatsoever, if we even think that they could be resourceful in some way, number one, they'll do it if they can benefit. And if, number two, they'll do it if they cannot, or number one, they'll do it if they can benefit. Number two, they will not do it if there is no benefit. Like I had a flat from that crazy girl I told you about, who had popped my tires. My roommate gave me $5, you know, because I ride a, this is going to be funny, okay, I ride a bicycle, I don't drive a car, and I do this by choice because I'm a fitness buff, okay, so don't judge. But anyway, she gave me the $5 so I could go get my tire fixed. Seemed like something nice, but really think about this for a second. She won't massage my back because she doesn't benefit from it, right? She knows I'll still go to work and still pay the rent. And I'm paying the whole house rent, not just for myself. I'm paying the whole rent. So she won't massage my back. But she'll give me $5 so I can get my tire fixed. And you got to ask yourself why. She gave me the $5 because she knew I needed to get to work in order to pay her rent. That's the only reason. Now, in her mind, she thought she did something nice, but her nature is what got her to do that. Because she had to maintain her resource, which is me. A woman will not give you anything unless she is going to benefit from it. And they will not accept you critiquing their gender, even though you could start the whole conversation by saying, not women like you, but here's the type of women I'm talking about. You could tell a woman to her face, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about these other women. And they will still defend those women. whether it's by being offended that you're talking about women, or while they or that they're actually genuinely offended by your talking points, and they shut them down. Now, earlier I got in an argument with her about some of this stuff, and I offered to show her some facts, some data, unbiased reports. She didn't want it. In fact, she told me to get out of her room, and that she didn't want to talk anymore. So typical that when you can't win an argument, you just kick out the opposition, you get them out of your little safe space. Anyways, I don't really know what advice to give anybody except, number one, don't expect any woman to be any different than either of the two that I had just mentioned. Because one is the extreme low scum of the earth that will pop your tire and confuse you as to whether or not you're in a relationship. I mean, that's psychotic. That started off as a friend with benefits basis. Isn't that what relationships are to women anyways? Friends with benefits. They're basically prostitutes. They won't even go on a date with you unless you pay for it. Anyways, that's a whole nother topic. Anyways, over and out. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my bullshit. Had to go on a little rant here. Damn, is it ever going to change?